For a moment, it looked like one of those matches tennis fans talk about for all the wrong reasons. Coco Gauff, one of the biggest stars in American tennis, was suddenly on the back foot. The rhythm wasn't there. The confidence looked shaky. And across the net stood Hailey Baptiste, another American, playing fearless tennis with nothing to lose. When Gauff dropped the first set 6-3, the shock factor was real. This wasn't supposed to be a struggle, and yet tennis has a way of flipping the script when you least expect it. What followed, though, is exactly why Coco Gauff is where she is today. This wasn't just a comeback on the scoreboard, it was a comeback built on calm thinking, small tactical changes, and a refusal to panic. And quietly, almost unnoticed at first, one adjustment changed everything: her serve. From the opening games, something felt off for Gauff. Her timing wasn't clean, her serve wasn't giving her free points, and Baptiste sensed it immediately. Instead of backing off because of the big name on the other side, Baptiste leaned in. She returned aggressively, stepped inside the baseline, and forced Gauff to defend more than she usually likes. The first set told the story clearly. Gauff was getting broken too easily, and her second serve was under constant pressure. Baptiste kept the rallies uncomfortable, mixing depth and pace, and she didn't give Gauff many chances to settle. The 6-3 scoreline wasn't a fluke. It reflected who was controlling the match. At that point, the danger signs were flashing. Early exits happen. Big names fall all the time. And when expectations are high, pressure can creep in fast. But this is where experience matters. Instead of forcing shots or trying to blast her way out of trouble, Gauff took a different route. She slowed things down. Between points, she took her time, and most importantly, she went back to basics on her serve. The adjustment wasn't dramatic, but it was smart. Gauff started placing her first serve with more margin instead of going for outright power. She aimed higher over the net, used better angles, and focused on starting the point rather than winning it immediately. This gave her more first serves in play, and that alone shifted the balance. Suddenly, Baptiste wasn't attacking second serves as freely. Gauff was holding more comfortably, and once that pressure eased, the rest of her game started to breathe again. This is the kind of change casual viewers might miss. But at the top level, these small tweaks can decide matches, and sometimes entire tournaments. As Gauff began holding serve more easily, her body language changed. The tight shoulders loosened, the footwork improved, the forehand started landing deeper. And with every solid hold, the momentum quietly swung her way. Baptiste, to her credit, didn't disappear. She kept fighting. But now she had to work harder for every point. The rallies got longer. The margin for error got smaller. And slowly, the pressure shifted from Gauff to Baptiste. This is where the near collapse became a turning point. Instead of being the player trying to survive, Gauff became the player asking questions. She pushed Baptiste wider, mixed in higher topspin, and used her speed to extend rallies. The second set belonged to her, not because she played perfect tennis, but because she played smart tennis. There's something fascinating about matches like this. On paper, it's a simple all-American clash, but underneath, it feels like a student versus master moment. Baptiste represents the hungry challenger. She played bold, aggressive tennis, testing herself against one of the sport's biggest names. And for a set, she passed that test with confidence. Gauff, meanwhile, showed why she's already considered a leader of the new generation. She absorbed the hit, adjusted, and pulled the match back under her control. This wasn't about overpowering an opponent. It was about understanding the situation and making the right choices under pressure. That's the difference experience makes, and it's exactly what separates promising players from established stars. On the surface, this will go down as just another win for Coco Gauff. But matches like this can define a season. Early round scares can either shake a player's confidence or sharpen it. For Gauff, this felt like a reminder. A reminder that no match is automatic. A reminder that tactics matter just as much as talent. And a reminder that staying calm can save you when things start slipping. Calling it a season-saving moment might sound dramatic, but in tennis, confidence is everything. A loss here could have created doubts. Instead, Gauff walked away with proof that she can adjust and survive when her A-game isn't firing. That's dangerous news for the rest of the draw. If there's one takeaway from this comeback, it's the serve. Not the speed, not the aces, but the discipline. By choosing placement over power, Gauff gave herself time to get into points. She trusted her movement and defense, and once rallies extended, her natural athleticism and shot tolerance took over. This kind of maturity doesn't always show up in highlight reels, but it wins matches. And as the tournament goes on, that lesson could pay off again. Now, the storyline gets even more interesting. With this comeback behind her, Gauff is heading toward a blockbuster rematch against Karolina Muchova, a player known for her variety, intelligence, and ability to disrupt rhythm. If Baptiste tested Gauff's patience, Muchova will test her creativity and court sense. This is where the student versus master narrative flips again. Against Muchova, Gauff won't just need speed and power. She'll need the same calm thinking she showed in this comeback, maybe even more. Muchova is famous for exposing weaknesses, especially in serve patterns and court positioning. The good news for Gauff? She just proved she can adjust on the fly. Tennis is as much mental as it is physical. Surviving a scare like this can inject belief into a player's run. Gauff now knows she can be pushed, challenged, and still find solutions. That belief travels with you from match to match. Instead of carrying pressure, she carries confidence, not from dominating an opponent, but from surviving one. And sometimes those are the most valuable wins of all. What also made this match stand out was how quietly it turned into a lesson for younger players watching from the outside. Gauff didn't rush. She didn't argue with herself after mistakes, and she didn't try to end points too quickly just because the match felt uncomfortable. Instead, she trusted the process and accepted that winning ugly is still winning. That mindset is especially important at this stage of the season, where expectations can weigh heavier than opponents. Every top player knows that early round matches are where danger hides. There's less scouting, less rhythm, and often more pressure. Gauff handled that moment like someone who understands the long game. It also sends a clear message to her future opponents. If pushing her early doesn't break her, it might actually wake her up. And once she finds her footing, the match becomes much harder to control from the other side of the net. As she moves deeper into the draw, this comeback may not be remembered for the scoreline, but for what it revealed. Coco Gauff isn't just surviving tough moments anymore. She's learning how to use them. Coco Gauff's near collapse wasn't a weakness exposed. It was a warning shot. A warning that even when things go wrong, she has the tools to fix them. A warning that she doesn't need perfect tennis to win. And a warning that her growth as a player is still happening in real time. Hailey Baptiste deserves credit for pushing her to that edge, but Gauff deserves even more credit for stepping back from it. As the tournament moves forward and bigger challenges wait, one thing is clear. Coco Gauff didn't just escape a scare, she learned from it. And that might make her even more dangerous in the matches to come. If this is how she responds when things start falling apart, imagine how tough she'll be when everything clicks. Another layer to this match, one that doesn't always show up in stats, is how Gauff managed her emotional rhythm once the momentum shifted. Tennis matches often swing not because of one big shot, but because one player handles uncertainty better than the other. After the early turbulence, Gauff began projecting steadiness, fewer rushed movements, calmer reactions after lost points, and a noticeably slower reset between rallies. Those small behavioral cues matter. Opponents read them, crowds feel them, and pressure quietly changes direction. Baptiste, meanwhile, faced a new challenge she hadn't dealt with in the opening set. Winning points no longer felt simple. What had been clean aggression turned into harder work. Longer rallies demand patience, and patience is harder to maintain when you're trying to upset a higher-ranked opponent. The margin shrinks. Doubt creeps in. Suddenly, one missed forehand carries more weight than it did earlier. This is where elite players often separate themselves, not through brilliance, but through endurance. Gauff didn't chase highlight shots. She accepted neutral exchanges. She trusted that consistency, combined with her athletic base, would eventually force errors. It's a mindset built over years, not weeks. Younger players often feel the urge to finish points quickly once momentum turns. Gauff resisted that temptation. Another underrated aspect of her response was shot selection on big points. Instead of pressing on break points or service games under threat, she leaned into higher percentage patterns. Cross-court exchanges, deeper margins, and safer targets became her foundation. That approach doesn't dominate headlines, but it stabilizes matches. It's the kind of discipline that wins tournaments quietly. Looking ahead, this match may serve as a reference point later in the tournament. When fatigue builds, when nerves resurface, or when an opponent disrupts her rhythm again, Gauff can mentally return to this moment. She's already solved a problem once. That memory becomes a resource. In many ways, this wasn't a test of skill. It was a test of identity. And the version of Coco Gauff that walked off the court wasn't just relieved. She looked informed, sharper, more prepared for whatever comes next. Those are the wins champions build on, the ones that teach before they reward.